Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and thank you so much for tuning into one of our talks today. We are a year-round talk series bringing you the best creative voices across film, television, theater, and entertainment. And today we're incredibly lucky to be joined by Taj Cross, who's currently starring in the series Young Rock. And when you first were auditioning for this role, even, you were describing how you'd already started to imagine all of the things that you could do with him as a character. And so I was really curious about when you even just had those first few scenes, perhaps, of a script for the audition, what your initial ideas were and what you really wanted to develop in him as a character.
Yeah, well, I really wanted to express all the energy that Gabe had and all the hidden kind of advice that he could give in a split second. Like if something's going wrong, his immediate response is trying to figure it out and make it good. So I really wanted to, show that part of him with Bradley. And I think we did that by the first couple of scenes was, I think, the first scene in the pilot in the cafeteria. So that scene, actually, I didn't want to show out. I didn't want to show his advice side. I kind of just wanted to show his kind of sassy side, because he was almost like making fun and picking at Dwayne for saying his name is Tomas. And I wanted to show that kind of side of Gabe before entering in the other sides.
Right. There's such a great comedic banter between the two of you. And even when you were saying about like a lot of the quips that he gives him, and, your character is very much the one straight shooter who's willing to say everything as it is to his friend. And within that, like, how did you figure out what the very specific comedic tone of this show was going to be?
Well, with more time on set, I picked up that everything was very fast paced. So right after Bradley would say his line, it would kind of be a back and forth thing. So right after he would say his line, I would go immediately into mine, and then he would go immediately into his next. It would kind of be like, just like this pattern of back and forth, and then bam, something funny happens. And then back and forth, bam, something funny happens. So it was kind of like a rhythm that I got used to, with the directors giving me notes about it. And when the show goes on, I think you'll be able to see it, more and more as we develop as characters.
Yeah. And I know that obviously you and Bradley Constant aren't sharing scenes specifically with Dwayne Johnson, but Bradley had a little bit of an opportunity to have a couple of conversations about his character with him. And based off the information that Bradley then took away from those conversations, was he able to then help you fill in some of the gaps and some of the ideas of what this friendship is? Because your character is really a composite of a lot of the friends that he had at that stage in life.
Yeah, so I couldn't get like a straight answer on if Gabe really existed. So I had someone on the inside, Bradley, to do the little snooping for me. So I asked him to ask like either the director or Dwayne about his relationship with Gabe, and that's where we found out that Gabe isn't just one person. He's mixed in with a lot of different friends, and that information kind of really helped me, because it's not just, I don't know, it's like when playing one personality, you make a lot of decisions, but knowing that you're kind of playing a lot of personalities means that you have a range of emotions and things that you can say or make Dwayne feel in the show. Like, because Gabe is a mix of so many friends, he has a lot of opportunities to impact Dwayne in different ways.
And particularly when you were first shooting just the pilot and you didn't necessarily have all of the scripts and all of the character details for Gabe, how did Nanachi Khan, who's the showrunner for this, really help fill in a lot of the gaps of who this character was for you as well, beyond that?
Right. Nos really helped me out and gave me a bunch of pointers on the pace as well, and just about the kind of tone of Gabe's state in different scenes. Because like I was saying, he kind of has different sides of him. Like in the first scene, she really helped me express the kind of sassy, like calling Dwayne out kind of side of him. And then in other scenes, like with the pizza scenes, Notch and the other directors helped me kind of do that fast pace, comedic timing, with tons of energy and a lot of enthusiasm.
And in shooting the show on location, it sounds like that actually gave you and Bradley a lot of time together outside of the scenes that you were filming with each other. And it sounds like you also spent a lot of that time running scenes together and going through a lot of your character details. So how did the time outside of production really help the two of you in just building out all of the elements of this friendship and building that rapport and that chemistry that we then get to see on screen with the two of you together?
Oh, it was amazing working with Bradley and being able to develop that relationship, that, long life friendship, that kind of bantery thing. So us being able to spend time together outside of work really helped that. So we would always run lines and make decisions, like, oh, you're gonna say that? How are you gonna say that? Like, oh, what should we do over there? Should you like one time it got cut out, but one time in a pizza scene where we got the car for the first time, like we made a little handshake when the homeless guy, I forgot his name, sold us the car, and he walked away. Me and Bradley made a little handshake that we went up and did, like, yeah, we got a car. We did like a little thing, and it got cut out, but it was like a decision that we made a few days ago, and we're really excited about it. So it was like all those little things that we would add or change or discuss. And we also would run lines with Lexi Duncan, who plays Karen in the show, or fine ass Karen in the show. So she was a real help to us because she's amazing. So she would give us pointers and stuff. So yeah, it was like just an overall acting class almost.
I've also heard you talk a little bit about how with that car scene specifically, when you're jumping out of the car and you take that tumble, that actually wasn't intentional and that was actually you taking a spill, but that they loved it and it worked so well that they kept it in the scene. So was that kind of a really great learning lesson in shooting that scene and having something go a little bit wrong, but still just committing to character and them including it when you came to shooting other scenes, if there were any other similar incidents that happened?
Yeah, that experience really taught me something, because that's never happened to me before. It's like a mess up making it into the show as like a good thing that happened. So when we were shooting the take, shooting the scene, I all that was running through my mind was, oh my God, I need to get out of this car. Oh my God, there's a homeless person in my car. Oh my God, I just need to get out. So I put all my energy into just opening the car, running out, and just trying to get to my spot as fast as I could. And I just slipped. But instead of just stopping and being like, oh man, we should do it over again, I just kept going with the scene and it stayed in. So that really taught me that even if you mess up, you should stick to your character and keep the scene rolling, because you never know what could make it even better.
Yeah. And, when they cast Bradley in the show, he was 22 when you started filming the series together. And so he was actually looking to you at certain times, from the sounds of it, for kind of like reminding him of like, okay, these are some of the specifics of being this age and getting into the mindset of his character. What are some of the things that you feel like you were actually able to help him get into the mindset of with his character and playing the younger version of The Rock because of the age difference that he has to his character?
Right. So he was 22. I was 16 at the time shooting, and he was playing 15. So sometimes he would ask me about certain things that 15-year-olds would do, like certain traits or how they would act when nervous or something. And I would just give my honest opinion about my experience at the time and a year ago when I was 15. And I think that helped him out a little bit. And I also think he studied me a little bit. I think he studied the way I acted. And was like, oh, so this is what 15, 16-year-olds do. Okay. Yeah.
He owes his entire performance to you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Everything that he's getting in the future, he should just thank me for.
Perfect. I also want to talk a little bit about the time period of the show, and how you kind of got into that particular mindset and thought about some of the slight nuanced details of your character based on the time period where the show is set, and also how some of the physical aspects, like the costumes, and I know that they gave you a very specific haircut, how those elements also really helped with building out that time frame for you.
Yeah, so the haircut and all the clothes and all the extras with their haircuts and the wigs and the clothes that they were wearing, all the acid colors, it really brought an aspect of time. Yeah, wow, we're in the 80s. We are in the 80s is all I was thinking whenever I would see the extras or my outfit for the day. Whenever I would walk into my trailer and I would see the denim no stretch jeans with the acid red with the green windbreaker, I'd be like, wow, this is the 80s for sure. And the clothing designer and all the artists completely just rocked it because they made it look so realistic and so 80s.
And prior to working on this show, Pen 15 was actually your first on-screen series role. And you had such a great opportunity to learn even just a lot of the logistical elements about blocking and camera and how to work with the crew in different ways. And so how did coming onto the set for Young Rock feel like a completely different experience for you, coming on and knowing exactly how things were going to work and being able to just figure out what the specifics of this show were after going through all of that experience on Pen 15 for 2 seasons?
Yeah. Totally. So my experience from Pen 15 season 1 and 2 really just got me just comfortable with the fact that there's cameras in my faces, or there's 50 people watching me while I act, or there's a bunch of well-known producers in the room. It really got me comfortable with that aspect. So going on to Young Rock, I didn't really have to worry about that. I could focus on, like you said, the show, the material, my character, my co-actors, the directors. I could really just focus on making my work as good as I can make it.
Yeah. I also, with Pen 15, wanted to ask you about one of the moments in shooting the Wild Things episode, because you've told a story before about how there was a really great moment on camera which came out of you and one of the actors sitting on a couch and just improvising, and then the cameras just started rolling and picked it up, and that then made it into the show. And is that something that you find it useful to do a lot of times before scenes in terms of just improvising in character to get into that headspace, or was that very specific to that moment when you were shooting that episode?
No, I usually like to get into my character and talk as my character while they're setting up for the scene. Like when they call us in, it's usually like maybe we're waiting for like 10 minutes or not even like 5 minutes on set, and they're getting ready. They're getting their last, equipment in. And I just kind of just go into my character. I kind of so for Pen 15, I would bring Sam up, and for Young Rock, I would bring Gabe up, and then I would just start acting like him and going to my co-actors of the cast and talking to them as Gabe or Sam or just my character. And usually I would never tell them, so they would always get weirded out when I would just be acting weird, but I would just be in my character. And after like a minute, they would catch on and they would play along with me. And that would really help me get into the scene and just kind of rock out the scene, because when I don't do that, it takes like, a few takes for me to get into it. But when I do that, I can just go straight into it with good work. and I did that a lot on the set of Young Rock. And the first time I did it, Lexi and Bradley did not know what was happening because I was Gabe, not Taj. But then Lexi really went into Karen, and because Gabe and Karen don't have many scenes together, it was actually really fun to see how Gabe and Karen reacted or interacted with each other. So yeah, it really helps me get into character and knock out a scene.
I think that's fantastic. I love that tactic. And also with Pen 15, when you first did your screen test with Maya, you were doing like that very awkward dance scene was the one that the two of you were screen testing together. How did that really help you with that particular scene and doing that screen test with Maya and really just understanding what the comedic tone was going to be for that show? Because it's so specific and brilliant.
Yeah, so when I went into the chemistry read and I saw Maya, and I knew I read the scene and everything. I was like, all right, so we're dancing. And that was my second audition. So I already got and found Sam, and already I could really feel the awkwardness and the middle school aspect. So when we danced, I tried to be as stiff as a board, and I put my hands like super far up and like really straight to make it like look as uncomfortable as possible. Like that was my plan, to make the casting director and maybe Maya uncomfortable and cringe, so that really helped me and because they liked it, I obviously knew I was doing something right, so I kind of kept that vibe with me the rest of the show.
Yeah. And prior to landing that, you had been auditioning for a number of roles up until that point and have mentioned how useful self-taping was actually in terms of what you were saying earlier about even just getting used to there being a camera in front of you. And so I was interested in just hearing a little bit more about how self-tape auditions were a really great tool for you to develop a lot of your skills, even just in terms of playing out scenes and having the opportunity to look back and to figure out what's working, what you want to shift and adjust, and really being able to take a lot of time with them.
Yeah, that with self-tapes, it does give me the opportunity to really make a bunch of decisions on the character and take my time with it, because I can always redo takes and I can pick out the best ones. So I can really maximize my work, because when you go into a casting room, you might mess up the lines or you might break character one time because you're just not in it. But with self-tapes, you can almost perfect it. Nothing's ever perfect, but you can kind of perfect the take that you choose. Besides for that, I really do not like self-tapes. Like, I know now that given what our circumstances, that's how everyone's doing it now, and that's how it's going to be for a little bit more. So I've accepted it and I've been getting into it. I've come a little more comfortable with it, because when I was transitioning from going in person to self-tapes, it was really hard for me, because my favorite part of the audition process was to go into the casting room and meet the casting directors and make an impression on them and take their notes and totally mix it up. So transitioning from that to self-tapes was really difficult, but now I'm trying to give them my personality through the screen. And that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I've loved the episode so far in Young Rock that I've gotten to see you in, and look forward to the rest of the season. And thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.